Tonight, the strike is over, but WestJet passengers are still reeling from canceled flights. Federated CoOp is trying to cope with the aftermath of a cybersecurity attack.
They get good food now.
And a southern Saskatchewan woman rehabs orphaned baby raccoons.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Tuesday, July 2nd, and this is the CBC Saskatchewan News. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dan Plaster, filling in for Sam McCaig. The WestJet strike may be over, but travel delays are not. WestJet says it had canceled more than 1,000 flights as of noon yesterday. Shlok Talati was at the airport earlier today to see how passengers are being impacted.
This is how the Regina International Airport has looked for days. Long lines, frustrated passengers looking for answers.
Please have a seat. We're going to open our counters at 1 o'clock.
John Aaron is one of them. He drove 2 hours from Saskatchewan only to find out his flight has been delayed and won't take off until tomorrow.
Just like we were getting ready, like we were like prepared for all of this to get here, and then just like the sudden news where like our flight was canceled. Like our flight for Calgary was good, and then they told us like the flight for going to Santa Ana we couldn't do.
The trouble began when WestJet mechanics started a surprise strike on Friday night. The disruption has left tens of thousands of people stranded. WestJet has reached a tentative agreement with its workers, but many flights are still impacted.
I have an appointment in Vegas for tomorrow morning. I have a hotel reserved for tomorrow morning, or for tonight, and I have a flight out of Vegas to LA tomorrow. So I couldn't miss a flight. I had to go to Air Canada and spend $1,500 on a ticket so I can get to Vegas tonight.
And he's not alone. Maverick Billings came to Regina for the long weekend. He was supposed to fly home yesterday, but then it got rescheduled to Thursday. It changed 2 more times before being rescheduled again for today.
It's pretty brutal, actually. I'm kind of mad at WestJet. They're not even at the desks right now helping out. And yesterday they stopped taking calls for you to reschedule flights. So me and my dad were up till like 1 a.m. trying to be on hold, and they just won't answer. It's very frustrating.
John Crossley drove from Florida to Regina to see his family. They were supposed to fly to Vancouver on the 29th, then back to Regina a few days later. WestJet rebooked those flights for the same day, ruining his plans for a visit.
Some of their kids had never flown before, and so we thought, what a great... So we bought tickets for everybody, and an Airbnb, and a rental car. Well, now I find I can't get out of my Airbnb, even though I notified them before the check-in, and same with my rental car. So I'm stuck with the loss of the Airbnb, $1,200, and rental car about $600.
The Regina Airport Authority is recommending passengers check WestJet's website before going to the airport. But according to Air Passenger Rights Group, impacted passengers can file grievances, and the airline must offer to help them get to their destination or return back to their point of origin with a refund. Shlok Talati, CBC News, Regina.
Thanks, Shlok. If you've gone to a co-op recently, you've probably noticed shortages on food shelves or at the pump. That's because Federated CoOp Limited was the victim of a cybersecurity attack last week. The situation is affecting the retail stores and gas stations it supplies, but so far, the company has been quiet about what's going on. Dane Patterson has more.
The Federated CoOp reported the cyber attack on social media last Thursday. The company says it shut down some of its systems in response and began an investigation. Now, customers are noticing that some items are sparse on the shelves. In Saskatoon and Regina, some food items were lacking in some stores, but plentiful in others. But it's more than just the food. It's also about how the cyber attack has affected customer data.
What we don't know yet is the type of cyber attack. Typically in this situation, it's usually ransomware. However, most organizations these days, what they do initially is they say they've experienced some sort of cyber attack, and then they take the time to investigate.
On Saturday, CoOp posted on social media saying it had no evidence consumer data was compromised. But it's unclear what kind of attack happened and if there's been any evidence found since that initial statement. CBC requested an interview for an update and was told there'd be a statement posted online when it was available. According to NoviPro, a company that provides IT consulting and services, 6 in 10 Canadian companies have been prompted to review their data security after news reports of data breaches, and 13% lack any measures to protect against data breaches.
It's a sad situation. It's happening so often, and it's affecting consumers. It's affecting businesses. My request to all is to be prudent in what they do.
CoOp says if customer data was compromised, it would take appropriate action. Experts say even if that is the case, people should change passwords, add two-factor authentication to accounts, and not panic. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Regina police are investigating the city's third homicide of the year. It happened Saturday night around 10 o'clock in the 1900 block of McIntyre Street. Police were told a man was suffering from gunshot wounds. The 25-year-old was pronounced dead on the scene. His next of kin has been notified, but his name is not being released. An update to a story we brought to you last month about two best friends from Ukraine who are torn apart by the Russian invasion. Kira Polishuk lives in Swift Current and her friend Sasha Filipchuk lives in Sudbury, Ontario. Now, after seeing our story, a Swift Current couple decided to sponsor the girls' reunion in Toronto this past weekend.
I just wanted to say thank you for making this trip possible, for giving me the opportunity to see my best friend again. We had so much fun together. We visited different places, and we were hoping to see each other soon again.
The girls last saw each other at school on February 23, 2022, the day before the Russian invasion. It was also Sasha's 9th birthday. Within a week, she'd been shot in the left arm and had to have it amputated. She and her mother were taken to Italy, then to the United States, before settling in Canada under the Fast Track program. Kira's family fled to Poland and then to Austria before also making it to Canada. The girls stayed in touch, but discovered that distance and cost would make it difficult for them to reunite. That is, until the Swift Current couple offered financial support. The girls and their families say it was an emotional and exciting weekend. The Canadian military has quietly walked back on one of the more controversial changes to its relaxation of dress code regulations, hair grooming. CBC's Murray Brewster has the details in this exclusive report.
By traditional military standards, this is considered a bit scruffy.
I get to wear a pretty cool mustache now.
And that's why the military has moved to set some limits. It has amended its controversial grooming regulations, rules that were first relaxed in September 2022. The length of beards is now restricted to 2.5 centimeters, and hair for both men and women must be tied back away from the face and off the collar.
All right, bring it down there.
The relaxation of decades-old standards has been the subject of sometimes furious debate that has divided military members. This internal D&D survey, obtained by CBC News, shows just how deep the split runs when it comes to the overall relaxation of standards. Only about 33% feel as though the initial changes are good for the CAF. 44% do not. Members of the Army, non-commissioned members, and men are generally less supportive. However, women and members of the 2SL LGBTQ+ community say it makes them proud to serve. When the relaxed rules first came into effect, the military was at the height of the sexual misconduct crisis. Important context for this researcher, who says that atmosphere contributed to cynicism among the troops.
It's quite hard to read those changes as outside of the political and social context where they happened, which was the sexual misconduct crisis and questioning of the military's equity, diversity, and inclusion record.
But a former senior commander disagrees, saying the changes were first discussed as far back as 2016 and intended to reflect the new overall face of Canadian society.
The Canadian Forces is still getting a sense of who it is culturally.
The argument against the relaxed standards, most often, is that it takes away from combat effectiveness. However, there is nothing in the research to back that up.
This has made some profoundly uncomfortable, based on the generation they come from. Others from a newer generation are completely at ease with it.
Most of Canada's allies ended this grooming debate several years ago. Many allow beards as long as they're trimmed. Hair is a different story, though. Most allied nations insist their troops be as clean cut as possible. Murray Brewster, CBC News, Ottawa.
There is a special telephone in a wooden booth outside Regina's Lakeview United Church. It's called a wind phone, and for anyone who is grieving and wants to speak to a loved one. It's dedicated to Michelle Wilson, who died in 2022. The idea came from her parents, Kim Wilson and Betty Ann Potriff, after taking grief classes.
You know, you're just assuming that, you know, a person's soul or, you know, being is out there somewhere, and that, you know, it just provides another channel to try and connect with them. We wanted to do something in memory of our daughter, Michelle Wilson, who we lost in October of 2022. She died at the age of, I guess, 30. Yep. And she loved horse riding. She loved travel. She loved concerts. Loved talking on her phone. But also really, really did enjoy helping others.
And she fell into some negative stuff, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
In grief counseling, I had heard about a wind phone, and then when Betty Ann and Kim said they also found it and said, would you like one here? And I thought, what a brilliant offering that they gave us, that we would build this and that we're able to have it available for the community. We also thought that it was a great honor to her and her legacy, but also available for the community so people can come, and one tool to use in grief, because grief is hard.
There's a phone, a rotary phone in there, and you can dial a number that is important to you, the loved one's number or their name or whatever, and that makes a connection. And then you can use it to talk to your loved one about conversations you didn't have or conversations you wish to have now. And although the phone's not connected to anything, the wind will know where to take your message.
I have seen people come and sit, pick up the phone, dial their person, and just cry, talk, scream, be. It's a really healthy thing to do, to express our grief.
And I think to voice those thoughts that maybe when you voice them out loud, you get more relief than if you're just thinking them, right? You get to say it out loud.
An Ontario couple is on the trip of a lifetime, and it includes a few stops in our province. Ivan and Nancy Cohen are driving from their home in Stratford to Vancouver Island. They say they absolutely loved their time in Saskatchewan. It included stops at many antique shops and singing at a few karaoke sessions. But it's the friends they made along the way that made it so special.
People say, you know, when you drive out west, just get as fast as you can to go across the prairies. I would say the opposite. Stop and view it, because there's so much to see. And you have to stop at all the little places along the way to meet all the wonderful people.
A highlight for the Cohens was making a new friend at a Regina karaoke night. He gifted them a grain house-shaped bird feeder when they met up at the next night to sing again. Another memorable experience was attending an antique museum in Whitewood. It wasn't just the impressive antique collection that stood out. They also enjoyed speaking to the museum's curator for hours, who goes by the name Old George. A whole lot of rain and just a little sun has been the perfect combination for flowers to be in full bloom in the province. The light breeze and warm weather also made it for an idyllic afternoon to take a step back or even extend the long weekend. Will things finally turn into a full-blown summer, or will the rains return? Well, Riley Lachek will be back after the break with the full forecast. Welcome back. Now, it's been a blustery start to July. Environment Canada says it's received reports of funnel clouds from south and southwest areas of the province. Areas like Melville, Gull Lake, and near the village of Abbey have been some of the hotspots. Here's a video of a funnel cloud yesterday near Melville. Environment Canada says they are still trying to figure out whether any of these funnel clouds actually touched down. But experts say if you do see a funnel cloud touch down, the best safety precaution is to find the lowest level of a building and take shelter right away.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Proud partner, of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
A calm evening in store tonight, and now here's Riley Lachuk to give us a rundown of the rest of the week. Riley?
Well, Dan, certainly a bit of a mixed bag across the province today with a little bit of rain, some thunder showers, and some high temperatures. We'll start with today's highs from today, and you can look here in far northern parts of the province. Stony Rapids getting to almost 30 degrees this afternoon, much cooler. A little bit below seasonal in southern parts of the province. That's because we've been under the influence of this pretty massive area of low pressure over Manitoba. That's been bringing us some showers and even some thunderstorm activity to parts of south and central, and a thunderstorm watch in place for areas like Buffalo Narrows as we get into the evening hours here. Even a few spotty thunderstorms and some heavy pockets of rain through southern and into southeastern Saskatchewan over the last couple of hours or so. Looking ahead, yeah, we're looking at things kind of clearing out here as we get into the overnight period. So by the time we hit even 1 o'clock in the morning, we're looking at skies really clearing out and a mainly clear to a partly cloudy sky through the overnight period tonight. As we get into the morning tomorrow, a little bit of cloud starts to build in again, and again, under the influence of potentially some scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms, which we'll talk about in just a moment here across parts of southern and central, in particular into the Parkland region as we head through the day on Wednesday. Thursday, back to a mainly sunny sky, maybe a little bit more instability once again, though, as we head into the later part of the day. Thunderstorm potential. This area in yellow in sort of the Parkland region is where we kind of have the greatest potential for some thunderstorm activity tomorrow, but generally widespread really across the province. The chance we could see a couple rumbles of thunder tomorrow. The Parkland region in particular, Broadview, Moosomin, up through Yorkton, Hudson Bay, even Wynyard could get hail up to the size of ping pong balls, some strong wind gusts, and the potential for even some very heavy rain once again as we head through the afternoon into the Wednesday evening time frame. So we'll keep our eye on that. Forecast temperatures as we look first thing in the morning, still quite warm in northern parts of the province. Regina waking up to 12 degrees first thing in the morning tomorrow. You're sort of your pre-dawn temperatures here. 13 in Saskatoon first thing in the morning. Looking at your 7-day forecast now, risk we could see some scattered thunder showers or some showers as we get through Thursday in Regina, 23 degrees. Back up to seasonal, partly cloudy for Friday. Chance we could see some more instability rolling through on Saturday, and then we're kind of shaping up to get back to more seasonal as we head into next week. For Saskatoon, potential at least for a few scattered showers tomorrow. Slim chance we could see some more of that as we roll through Thursday, 25 degrees, another 25-degree high for Friday, and then we are bouncing back up to above seasonal by the time we get through the later part of weekend, Dan, and into early next week. We'll talk about your day planner and some of your forecast temperatures when I come back in a bit.
Around 30 parachutists had a beautiful weekend weather to soar the skies over Moose Jaw. These daredevils were taking part in a provincial skydiving competition. The competition was divided into two disciplines, solo or team skydiving. Skydivers were evaluated on several criteria: group formations in free fall, time series, and the precision of their figures. We will now dive into the break. Stick around. Restrictions on indoor water use has been dropped in Calgary. They were triggered by a major water main break early last month.
And I'm relieved to say that today we can deliver some much needed good news. I'm incredibly pleased to share that indoor water use can now return to normal.
City crews continue to work to stabilize the water system, and a local state of emergency is expected to be lifted on Thursday. Residents had been asked to cut back on their usual number of showers, toilet flushes, and loads of laundry in an effort to reduce water use by 25%. Restrictions on outdoor use remain in effect for the city and surrounding communities.
Well, Well, here's a quick look at tomorrow's forecast temperatures across the province. A lot more seasonal across southern and central parts, with the potential at least for a few scattered showers once again. Otherwise, we're looking at a mix of sun and clouds. Still warm in northern parts of the province, where we could even get up to 25 degrees in Hudson Bay tomorrow. That's where we have sort of that greatest potential, at least, for some thunderstorm activity through the afternoon. So waking up to 14 degrees in Regina tomorrow, northwest winds 15, gusting to 30. Yeah, I put the thunderstorm icon there. A slim chance we could see a few rumbles of thunder through the afternoon tomorrow. 15 first thing in Saskatoon, a partly cloudy sky by the time we hit the afternoon. Slim chance of a few scattered showers or a thunderstorm, and we're looking at 23 degrees.
Thanks, Riley. Now, before we leave you tonight, a woman in southern Saskatchewan spends her summer nursing baby raccoons back to health. Susan Bowen says mother raccoons are often unnecessarily killed by property owners. She welcomed our camera into her home as she was serving up breakfast for the little orphans.
They get good food now, and they really, really like bananas. Bananas is every raccoon's favorite. Here you go. There you go. Banana. Here you go. They're in care because their mother was shot, and in a couple of weeks, maybe a week to 10 days, they'll transition to the big house, which is here. I've had them at a week old. I've had them as an adult who's injured. So what I take in is orphaned or injured. The adult injured are way more difficult to deal with because obviously they're going to be more aggressive, and eventually they learn. They're pretty smart animals. They learn to trust you enough to, not want to hurt you, right? They know that you're not there to hurt them. You're there to try to help them. I was actually working at volunteering at Salthaven Wildlife. They don't take raccoons, and we saw a need for that. So I jumped through a lot of hoops and got my license. It was a lot of exams and learning theory and how to, do things like sub-Q fluids and vaccinations and tube feeding. I had to have a vet that would be willing to take care of the raccoons. This year, a lot have been orphaned because their mother was shot. That's unfortunate because there's a lot of other things that people can do rather than shoot the mother. It's okay. The only reason typically that they're a nuisance on your farm or in your property is because they're building a den. Raccoon mothers are the best mothers out there. In the wild, they keep their babies for a year, and she'll move them. If you turn on bright lights, if you play music, if you spray a certain scent around, she will get them out of there. A lot of people think of them as a nuisance, but they're living creatures who live and breathe and care for their babies and have a right to be here. Come on, you're okay. I think I was born with it. It's okay. I wanted to rescue every snake, worm, bird when I was 2 years old. I'd come home with something, and it's just, I think you're born with it. It's a love for animals. Like I said, it's a labor of love. It's my own dime, my own time. I have a full-time job, and this is like a full-time job. So I'm very tired in the summer, and I don't have a lot of time to do other things. Come here, guys. Come on. But
those raccoons eat a lot better than I do. And that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/Sask or /Saskatoon, and of course, our CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great night, everybody.